Have you ever noticed someone who always needs a reaction, a reply, a compliment, or a little spotlight, and wondered, why does this matter so much to them? Here is the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes that need for attention is not about ego at all. Sometimes it starts in childhood, when being ignored taught the mind that invisibility feels unsafe. Today, let's talk about a pattern many people never notice in themselves. When a child grows up feeling unseen, unheard, or emotionally dismissed, they often do not just move on. The nervous system remembers, the heart remembers, and later in life, that child may grow into an adult who quietly chases attention without even realizing why. And if this topic feels a little too familiar, stay with me, because this may explain a lot about behavior that looks dramatic on the outside, but is actually deeply wounded on the inside. Point 1, invisibility creates hunger for recognition. A child who is often ignored learns a painful lesson. My presence does not matter unless I make it impossible to ignore me. That belief can follow them for years. So as adults, they may become extra expressive, extra funny, extra loud, or extra active online. Not always because they love attention, but because attention feels like proof that they exist. Psychologist William James once said, "The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated." That line hits hard because so much of human behavior is really just a search for appreciation. Think about it. Have you ever posted something and checked again and again to see who noticed? Have you ever felt oddly empty when your effort went unseen? That is not always vanity. Sometimes it is an old wound asking to be acknowledged. Point 2, validation becomes emotional survival. When a child does not receive enough attention in healthy ways, they may grow into an adult who depends on external validation to feel okay. A compliment feels like relief. A message feels like reassurance. A like, a reply, a laugh, a glance, all of it can feel bigger than it should. This is why some people are not simply attention-seeking. They are attention-starved. Brené Brown said, "Connection is why we're here. It is what gives purpose and meaning to our lives." When connection is missing early on, people may spend years trying to find it in the wrong places. So, let me ask you, do you want attention or do you want to feel valued? Do you want the spotlight or do you want to feel seen? Those are not the same thing. They often overperform in relationships. Another common pattern is overdoing everything. They become the one who always helps, always entertains, always listens, always gives. On the surface, they seem generous, but underneath, there may be a silent fear. If I stop performing, will I still be wanted? That is why some people become the funniest person in the room, the most useful friend, the one who never lets a conversation go quiet. They are not just trying to impress people, they are trying not to disappear. Maya Angelou famously said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." A lot of people who crave attention are carrying stories they never got to tell as children, and this is where the real healing begins. Not in becoming louder, but in becoming honest. Point 4, awareness changes everything. Once a person understands where this pattern comes from, they stop shaming themselves for it. They start asking better questions. Why do I feel invisible so easily? Why does silence bother me so much? Why do I feel unimportant when no one reacts? These are not silly questions. These are healing questions. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That is exactly what happens here. What feels like just personality is sometimes an old emotional script running in the background. If this is making sense to you, subscribe for more psychology content like this, because we talk about the hidden patterns most people never explain clearly. So here's the lesson. Attention itself is not the enemy. The real problem is when a person spends their whole life trying to earn the attention they should have received freely as a child. And once you understand that, you stop judging the behavior and start understanding the pain behind it. Because sometimes the loudest person in the room is not the most confident one. Sometimes they are the child who was once too quiet, too ignored, and too tired of feeling invisible. If this spoke to you, comment your thoughts below. And remember this, being seen is not a luxury. For a child, it is emotional nourishment.